Back with part 4 of this week's reading of the Messianic Jewish Family Bible Tree of Life version, TLV, and we just completed chapter 18 of this week's reading of Deuteronomy. This week we're doing Deuteronomy chapters 13 to 24. So now we're going to begin chapter 19, and this deals with cities of refuge. When Adonai your God cuts off the nations whose land Adonai your God is giving you, and you dispossess them and dwell in their cities and houses, you are to set apart 3 cities for yourself within the land he is giving you to possess. You are to prepare the way for yourself and divide into 3 parts the borders of your land that Adonai your God enables you to inherit, so that anyone who kills may flee there. Now, this is the case of the one who kills, who may flee there and live. Whoever kills his neighbor unintentionally and did not hate him in the past. So it was by accident, in other words. As when someone goes into the forest with his neighbor to chop wood, and with it, his hand takes a swing with the axe to cut down the tree, and the iron flies off the wood and hits his neighbor so that he dies. He may flee to one of these cities and lives. Otherwise, if the way is long, the avenger of the blood, while his heart is hot, may chase the manslayer, catch up to him, and strike him dead. And it was an accident, in other words. So he didn't intentionally mean for that to happen. It was an accident. Yet no death sentence is on him, since he did not hate him in the past. Therefore, I am commanding you, set apart 3 cities for yourself. Suppose Adonai your God enlarges your territory as he has sworn to your fathers, and he gives you all the land that he promised to give to your fathers, when you take care to do all this mitzvah that I am commanding you today, to love Adonai your God, and to always walk in his ways. Then you are to add 3 more cities for yourself besides these 3. Then innocent blood will not be shed within your land that Adonai your God is giving you as an inheritance, and there would be blood upon you. But suppose someone hates his neighbor, waits in hiding for him, rises up against him, strikes him dead, then flees to one of these cities. Then the elders of his hometown should send and take him from there and hand him over to the avenger of blood to die. Your eyes should not pity him, but you must purge the innocent blood from Israel, so that it may go well with you. You must not move your neighbor's boundary marker that the first generations marked out in the inheritance you will receive in the land of Adonai your God is giving you to possess. A single witness shall not rise up against a person for any offense or sin that he commits. By the word of 2 or 3 witnesses is a case to be established. Suppose a hostile witness rises up against someone to accuse him of wrongdoing. And we talked about this earlier. You know, somebody might not like somebody, so they're a hostile witness, and of course they're trying to do evil, actually. Then both people who have the dispute will stand before Adonai, before the Kohanim and judges in charge at that time. The judges are to investigate thoroughly, and if indeed the witness is a false witness and has testified falsely against his brother, then you are to do to him just as he had plotted to do to his brother. So you will purge the evil from your midst. Those who remain will hear and be afraid, and they will no longer do such an evil thing as this is in your midst. Your eye must not show pity, life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. So what he was trying to do is to have them live peacefully with one another. And imagine all the false accusations that go on today in our world today. If that was dealt with in that manner, boy, that kind of stuff would not even go on. You would have to have 2 or 3 witnesses to even bring up charges against someone. So to recap chapter 19, cities of refuge for murderers was established. And these were murderers that actually they were not premeditated, I should say. And there were 6 cities actually in total. If you remember, the land east of the Jordan that went to the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh. They had 3 cities, and then in the promised land that they're going, there was to be 3 cities established. And this was to protect the accused as a safe place and still until they could stand trial. And in the second part of the chapter, laws about witnesses are addressed. So that's probably all that I'm going to say about that in chapter 19. Chapter 20, confidence in battle. When you go out to battle against your enemies and see horse and chariot, a people more numerous than you, do not be afraid of them. For Adonai your God, the one who brought you up from the land of Egypt, is with you. When you draw near to the battle, the Kohen will come forward and speak to the people. He will say to them, Hear, O Israel, you are drawing near today to the battle against your enemies. Don't be faint-hearted. Don't fear or panic or tremble because of them. For Adonai your God is the one who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies to save you. The officers are to speak to the troops, saying, What man has built a new house but has not dedicated it? Let him go back to his house, otherwise he might die in the battle, and another man would dedicate it. What man has planted a vineyard but has not put it to use? Let him go back to his house, otherwise he might die in the battle, and another man would begin to use it. What man has become engaged to a woman but has not married her? Let him go back to his house, otherwise he might die in battle, and another man would marry her. The officers will speak further to the troops and say, What man is afraid and faint hearted? Let him go back to his house, so he does not weaken his brother's hearts like his own. Then, when the officers have finished speaking to the troops, they should appoint army commanders at the head of the troops. When you go near a city to fight against it, call out shalom to it. Call out peace, in other words. Now, if it answers you shalom and opens up to you, then all the people found in it will serve you as forced laborers. If it does not make peace with you, but makes war against you, then lay siege against that city. When Adonai your God hands it over to you, you're to strike all its males with the sword. Only the women, children, livestock, and all that is in the city, all its spoil, may you take as plunder for yourself. So you may consume your enemy's spoil, which Adonai your God has given you. Thus you will do to all the cities that are very distant from you, which are not among the towns of those nations nearby. However, only from the cities of these peoples, which Adonai your God is giving you as an inheritance, you must not let anything that breathes lives. You must utterly destroy them, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, just as Adonai your God has commanded you. You are to do this, so they will not teach you to do all the abominations as they have done for their gods, and so you would sin against Adonai your God. When you lay siege to a city for a long time, making war against it to capture it, you are not to destroy its trees by swinging an axe at them. For from them you may eat, or you shall not chop them down. For it is the tree of the field human that it shall enter the siege before you. You may destroy and chop down only the trees that you know are not trees for food, so that you may build siege equipment against the city that is making war with you until its downfall. And that's the end of chapter 20. So this entire chapter is addressing the laws about military service, and this is the detail of the military service in this chapter. Chapter 21, Purging Innocent Blood. Suppose a slain person is found fallen in a field on the land Adonai your God is giving you to possess. Who struck him is unknown. Then your elders and judges must come out and measure the distance to the towns that are around the slain one. Now, the town nearest to the slain one, the elders of that city are to take from the herd a heifer that has not been used for work or pulled a yoke. Then the elders of that city are to bring the heifer down to a flowing wadi that has not been plowed or sown, and break the heifer's neck there in the wadi. The Kohanim, the sons of Levi, will come forward, for Adonai your God has chosen them to serve him and pronounce blessings in his name, and by their mouth every dispute and assault is to be settled. All the elders of the city nearest to the slain one will wash their hands over the heifer whose neck was broken in the wadi. Then they will answer and say, our hands did not shed this blood, nor did our eyes see. Grant atonement for your people Israel, whom you have redeemed, Adonai, and do not put innocent blood on your people Israel. Then atonement will be granted for them for the blood, so you will purge the guilt of innocent blood from your midst when you do what is right in Adonai's sight. The next section of this chapter begins a new parashat, which is Parashat Ki Tetzai, which is Kitetzei, and that is when you go out. When you go out to war against your enemies and Adonai your God hands them over to you and takes them captive, suppose you see among the captives a beautiful woman and you desire her and would take her as a wife for yourself. Then you are to bring her into the house, and she must shave her head, trim her nails, and remove her captive's clothing, then sit in your house and weep for her father and mother a full month. After that, you may go to her and become her husband, and she will be your wife. Now, if you are not pleased with her, then you may send her off wherever she wishes. But you must certainly not sell her for silver. You may not treat her as merchandise, since you have humiliated her. Suppose a man has two wives, the one loved and the other unloved, and both the loved and unloved bear him sons. But it happens that the firstborn son belongs to the unloved wife. Now, on the day he lets his sons inherit what he has, he must not treat the loved one's son as firstborn in place of the unloved one's son, who is the firstborn. Rather, he must acknowledge the firstborn, the son of the hated one, by giving him a double portion of all that he has. For he is the first of his vigor. The right of the firstborn is his. Suppose a man has a stubborn and rebellious son who does not listen to the voice of his father or mother. They discipline him, but he does not listen to them. Then his father and mother are to grab hold of him and bring him out to the elders of the city, to the gate of his place. They will say to the elders of his city, the son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He does not listen to our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. Then all the men of his city are to stone him with stones to death, so you will purge the evil from your midst, and all Israel will hear and be afraid. Hung on a tree is the last section. Suppose a man is guilty of sin with a death sentence and he is put to death, and you hang him on a tree. His body is not to remain all night on the tree. Instead, you must certainly bury him the same day. For anyone hanged is a curse of God. You must not defile your land that Adonai your God is giving you as an inheritance. So think about that in the future. That is like a type and shadow, because Yeshua became a curse, and the curse, when he died, when he was crucified, he was hung on a tree. He actually became sin, and he didn't need to do that. So think about that. Anyone that is hung on a tree is said to be cursed of God. So what Yeshua did for us is incredible. He took all that on for us. He became sin, and he knew no sin. So, because he was sinless and blameless, and he took on what what would have been ours, the curse. Um, so anyway, that's just kind of like a type and shadow as well. When we read some of this stuff from the Old Testament, it's amazing how you can actually relate it um, to the New Testament. So again, to recap chapter 21, the laws about unsolved murders is addressed. The second part addresses the law concerning sons and rebellious sons, how they are brought to the elders and dealt with. And in the last part, miscellaneous laws are addressed in regards to a man being put to death because he broke the law, that they were to be buried that same day as to not defile the land that God had gave to them. So God's actually, he's putting out ordinances and actually telling them how he wants them to live, and bringing up things that will come up, that they need to be ready to address, and to address them in the ways that God wants them to address. So chapter 22, love in practice. You are not to watch your brother's ox or sheep going astray and ignore them. You must certainly bring them back to your brother. If your brother is not near you, or if you do not know him, then you should bring it into your house, and it will remain with you until your brother comes searching for it, and you return it to them. You are to do the same with his donkey or his coat or anything lost by your brother that may be lost by him and you find. You may not ignore them. You must not watch your brother's donkey or ox fall down on the road and ignore it. You must certainly help him lift it up again. A man's apparel is not to be on a woman, nor is a man to wear woman's clothing, for whoever does these things is detestable to Adonai your God. If there happens to be a bird's nest in front of you along the road, in any tree, or on the ground with young ones or eggs, and the hen sitting on the young or on the eggs, you are not to take the hen with the young. You must certainly let the hen go, but the young you may take for yourself, so that it may go well with you and you may prolong your days. When you build a new house, you are to make a guardrail for your roof, so that you do not bring the guilt of blood on your house if anyone falls from it. You are not to plant your vineyard with two kinds of seed, or else the whole harvest will be forfeited, both the seed you plant and the produce of the vineyard. You are not to plow with an ox and a donkey together. You are not to wear a woven mixture, wool and linen together. You are to make for yourself twisted threads on the four corners of your garment in which you cover yourself. Suppose a man takes a wife and goes to tell her, and then dislikes her, accuses her of shameful things, and gives her a bad reputation by saying, I took this woman, but when I came near her, I didn't find her virginity. Then the father of the young woman is to take her, and her mother is to bring out the signs of the young woman's virginity to the city elders at the gate. The young lady's father is to tell the elders, I gave my daughter to this man as a wife, but he hates her. Indeed, he has accused her of shameful things, saying, I didn't find her your daughter's virginity, yet these are the signs of my daughter's virginity. They are to spread the wedding cloth before the elders of the city. The elders of that city are to take the man and punish him. Then they are to fine him 100 pieces of silver, and give them to the father of the young woman, because he has brought an evil name on a virgin of Israel. Then she is to be his wife. He may not send her away all his days. But if this thing is true, that the signs of virginity were not found in the young lady, then they are to bring the young woman out the door of her father's house, and the men of the city are to stone her with stones to death, because she has done a disgraceful thing in Israel, to behave like a prostitute in her father's house. So you are to purge the evil from your midst. Suppose a man is found lying with a married woman, then both of them are to die, the man who lay with the woman and the woman. So you are to purge the evil from Israel. Suppose there is a young woman who is a virgin, engaged to a man, and another man finds her in the city and lies with her. Then you are to bring them both out to the gate on that city and stone them with stones to death. The young woman, because she did not cry out in the town, and the man, because he humiliated his neighbor's wife. So you are to purge the evil from your midst. But if the man finds the engaged woman in the field, and the man forces her and lies with her, then only the man who lay with her is to die. But to the young woman you are to do nothing. There is no sin in the young woman deserving of death. For this matter is the same as when a man rises against his neighbor and kills him. For he found her in the field. The engaged woman cried out, and there was no one to save her. Suppose a man finds a young virgin who is not engaged, grabs her and lies with her, and they are discovered. Then the man who lay with her is to give to the young woman's father 50 pieces of silver, and she is to be his wife, since he humiliated her. He may not send her away all his days. And that's the end of chapter 22. there were more laws addressed with regards to sexual conduct, and adultery was forbidden, and the penalty for this was stoning. And the earlier part of this chapter was also dealing with property, and it, like if a brother's ox falls, you're to be, kind enough to not let other people's stuff get ruined if you see that it's happening, and how to be how to handle that. And actually, I'm looking at my counter, and I guess I need to pause this, and I'll come back with part 5 because I'm actually past almost at 21 minutes. Whoa.